Hey guys, welcome to Spirit Pig. I'm Duncan CJ, and I've got a great friend today. We got Stuart Ralph in the house, in the building. I don't know what you say. He is cool introduction. He's got off to a great start. And in his own words, he wrote on his bio page, "You start off with human." I'm not really sure why that was the first thing on your bio, but he's a human. He's a best-selling author of the book "Challenge Yourself. I Dare You: A Better You in 30 Days." Public speaker, founder of Morally Marketed, which is, they believe in marketing as a social tool for good in the world, a coach, and as of 2 or 3 days ago when we were hanging out, he was umming and ahhing about whether he can get away with using the word philosopher. What's the conclusion?
I'm sticking with it for now.
You're sitting
Until
with it.
enough people tell me it's wrong.
I think go for it. Philosopher. I like the sound of it. Like, I might start being a philosopher as well.
It means lover of wisdom, so anyone who loves wisdom is effectively a philosopher.
Perfect. Lover of wisdom. So cheesy, but I like it.
Yeah.
Stuart, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Cheers.
Um,
Yeah, pleasure.
do you wanna just basically? I gave them just a little overview,
Yeah.
but do you wanna just give us a little say hi?
Yeah, no, hey guys, it's a pleasure to be here. So you said about started off with human. You mentioned that I was a human. Um, the reason I do that is it's partly, a bit tongue in cheek, it's trying to be funny, but also there is like a serious note to it because people always say, I'm a lawyer or I'm a marketer or I'm a dentist or I'm a mother and all these things, they're all great, but that's not what you are. You're a human being. And I feel so much in life we forget that's what we are. And I feel a lot of the conflicts come from people saying, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm whatever, you know what I mean? So everything I do, I always push. I'm a human, and when I'm talking to someone, they're talking about, no, this is what I do. I can't do that because I'm this. I'm like, no, you're human. And if they're hating on someone, I'll bring them back. If they bleed like you bleed, still human. And I try and put that because I think it's something we all need to adopt again.
I like it. I like it. See, there's the philosopher coming out in you. Like, don't doubt it.
Yeah.
Well, now we're gonna be talking about a few things, but one thing in particular, we're gonna go into some detail about one thing which you've been doing for the last 10 years is these things called 30-day challenges, and we're gonna really go into that in a sec. But I'd actually like to take it back a bit because I read your book, which it's a fantastic book. I think it took me a year and a half to read the fourth Harry Potter, but I managed to read your book in one sitting. So I don't know, either I'm getting a quicker reader, or it's a much better book, or I don't know.
It's a short book as well to
yeah.
Harry Potter.
But it was an awesome book. I loved it. And one thing, just to set the scene, like. You got a master's, you got a great degree later on, but it didn't start like that. You like academia like wasn't maybe your forte at school, like in the traditional sense. Like, and you went into detail about the difference between IQ and then EQ, like your emotional intelligence. But I think just for anyone like maybe listening to this who maybe like have been told at school that I don't know that they're not traditionally academic, like I think, what did you get, like a
Yeah.
D and two E's, or was that it?
Yeah, well, A level, I got pretty terribly, and then at GCSE, I got, God, I couldn't tell you, but I got three C's, and the rest were E's, F's, and fails. So I definitely wasn't, it didn't come easy to me. But I guess to give a bit of background, as you kind of said, to anyone who's been told, they're not necessarily good enough in the traditional sense of academia. When I was in primary school, I was in special needs, or what they classify as special needs, which was usually you get held back a year. So for 2 years, I was held back. And then so I skipped the fifth year. I went from the fourth to the sixth year. And the sixth year, I guess to any Americans listening, is the year before you go to high school, or maybe middle school for them. And so that obviously was ingrained in me from an early age that I was not intelligent. Which I don't think was the case. I just think much of my early life I was very much a slow learner. So then I got to high school, and I think that narrative played in my subconscious, and it kind of drove everything I did. And then I somehow got into sixth form, God knows how, and then pretty much bombed it. And but I guess the next bit to kind of say is, so when I my letter, the letter of grading. I can't remember the exact term for it. And I saw the 2 E's and a D. And then I remember like my heart sinking into my chest, and knowing I had to call my parents and tell them, that I fucked up effectively. And, I think they knew it was coming deep down, but they somehow, all parents are optimistic, right? Overly optimistic. And I called my mum up, and she's real tough love, and she was just like, "So you got to get a job now." She's real like that was kind of it. And I always respected my mum for that. And then I called my dad up, and he's never been massively engaged in my studies until I started doing well, that is. And I told him what I got, and he just went silent. And then he just said, "I'm ashamed." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like he's never expressed that type of emotion towards people. Yeah, it's a perfect story to tell women. I always get the ahs. It's a perfect dinner table chat. But so from that point, I was then like, shit, I have to turn my life around. So the first thing I did, I think it was that night, I went on play.com, and which is similar to Amazon for those that don't know. Typed in life coach. Again, I don't know why I did it, but it came up, bought Fiona Harold's Be Your Own Life Coach. And that book, the main thing, it's quite a simple book, it's a level book. And the one thing that did for me was told me that I just needed to change my beliefs and I could do anything I wanted. I think that's the first time I'd kind of been told that in my life. And that for me, I believed it. I believed what she was telling me, and I kind of ran with it. And from that point, I haven't really looked back. And when I went to university, like that still wasn't easy. I had to write a letter to get in because my grades weren't good enough. So I literally wrote this plead. And I think the only reason they let me in is because they needed the money and the attendance. But I like to think I rewarded their faith in me, or their greed and their money, because I got a 2-1 in the end. It wasn't until the second year that I started hitting the books. And the only difference between when I was failing at school and when I started to do well at university was I was interested in what I was studying. And I feel school fails a lot of people, and that's not, the teachers do a good job, it's the system, I believe. And because going back to IQ, there's a lot of people out there who might not have great IQ or that good with words or academia, and the school kind of fails those people because schools don't measure empathy, they don't measure kindness and all these things that the world dramatically needs. And the ironic thing is you can make a lot of money out of being empathetic or being kind. There's you don't necessarily need to be good with numbers. You do on Wall Street and the City of London, but if you want to build, and I like you're doing now with Spirit Pick, you don't necessarily need, I'm sure you're very intelligent, Duncan, I know you are, but you just need to have passion and interest in something. And so I guess anyone who's struggling at school is, it's not the end of the road, because I then went on to do a master's degree. And there's a longer story, I kind of go to the end and come back. So when I did my master's degree, I finished with the best grade in my class from my dissertation. So this is like, I'd never got an A at any point in my life. And the final piece of work I hand in, which is also the biggest piece of work I've ever done, is an A and one of the top marks out of 50 people from around the world that were doing this master's course. So it's kind of like, and the only thing that I wanted it, and I killed myself working for it. So it doesn't matter, and I still don't believe I was nowhere near as intelligent as a lot of people in that course, but I was putting more of the effort in, and I think that's what matters.
You're passionate and you loved it.
Well, exactly, yeah. At the time, I really loved marketing, and it was the more the psychology part of it that really kind of fascinated me. But I had a real chip on my shoulder that I've got over it now, but back then it was I still need to prove people wrong, because people were telling me, not my direct family, but other people were telling me, you're not intelligent enough to do a master's degree and all this. And I'm like, come on. So I was just like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I was getting up at 6 a.m. reading my book, getting on the train, reading. Then I'd go to lecture, I'd record it, and then I'd go to the library, read. And I'd come home, read on the train, go straight to bed, get up early. I did this. I didn't have a social life. I cut out everything else. Because I was I'm going to prove these wrong, and I'm glad I did, because it led on to a good career and to where I am now. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I love it, and no, it just shows. It's I think it's in also having whether it's in the form of people it's just negative, positive people, negative people, but whether it's in the form of people immediately, or in the form of a book, or Fiona. So it's Fiona Harold. Just having that first that belief where just, even if you don't know the person directly, you've got almost that relationship being like, somebody almost coaching you through the process. Now, I'll check that book out. Is it worth reading?
It might be. You might have gone past it now in terms of like what you've read, because it's not that it's a simple book. It's that it's almost like an entry level book for personal development.
Yeah,
and I know you've read a lot. I mean, it's quite a short book, so it can't hurt. And I bought that book for so many people, just because it had a profound effect on me, and everyone else that's read it has been like, yeah, it hasn't done anything. Actually, Lawrence,
this book will change your life. And it's like, what?
Yeah. I'm talking about it like it's the Bible.
But it was, if that was, that was the seed that, I don't even know if that's an analogy. I might have just made one up. But I mean, that was something that got the whole ball in motion, and so it was for you, it was a hugely profound, moment.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly. And that's what as I say, I'm such an advocate of reading now because, that one idea in that one book changed my life. And I dread to think where I would be if it wasn't for that. I wouldn't be in a bad place, but I wouldn't have explored the kind of wonders of the world, so to speak. I wouldn't have explored my mind and truly understood life as I'm starting to now.
Yeah.
So I'm always buying books for people. I've set a goal this year to buy one book a month for someone who I feel needs it. So I kind of pick a book that I've read, buy it for them. I'm always encouraging people, but the reading rates are so low in terms of people just don't want to read. But you do have Audible now.
That's what. That's what I do. Like, I'm better now, but I'm dyslexic, and so reading was always such a challenge and a stress for me. Like, as in, it wasn't like a fun, enjoyable activity. It was really just I associated reading with like really hard work, and now it's not too bad. But so audiobooks were almost they sort of opened the floodgates. I think up until about 5 years ago, I think I'd read like Harry Potter and Stick of the Dump or something. But now just
that's same as me.
But now, I'm obsessed with learning, like reading, just like 30, 40, 50 books a year. And it's just the ideas and the inspiration, and I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah, it's awesome, man. If anyone wants to change their life, all they've got to do is read. It's that simple.
Somebody said the other day, can't remember who it was, but it was the two of the keys. Just it was just the books you read and the people you hang out with are just the catalysts to you can completely change where you are, and everything, like your future, your mindset.
It's all about what you put in is what you get out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So how did the whole for the people who don't know what a 30-day challenge is, you'll obviously be great to just give us a little overview exactly what that is. But where did it start? Where did it begin? What is it?
Yeah, cool. So it kind of started from after I read that initial book. That kind of blew my world open, and from that point, I was just craving knowledge. I couldn't get enough reading. I couldn't get enough speaking to different people who were kind of on this type of journey, listening to, not podcasts back then, but like YouTube videos and stuff like that. Anything I get my hands on. And at first, a lot of my friends thought I was weird and insane because, to develop yourself to a lot of people is a weird concept. Anyone listening to this obviously isn't going to be of that mindset, but I'm sure they can relate. You talk about something.
When you say when you say to one of your friends, like, what are you doing? Do you want to come to the pub? You're like, I'm going to the Excel Arena because I'm going to a 2-day conference. They're like, what are you on about? I'm going to a seminar about like mindset. They think you're crazy.
Yeah, they're like, what's wrong with you? It's like nothing. I want to get better. That's why I hate the whole term self-help. Instead, I'm like, it's not self-help, it's personal development.
I know. Yeah. I think even personal development is like almost like it's almost getting like it's almost like even though it's a great phrase, like you got to constantly change the phrase because it seems people like, I don't know, I'm a personal development junkie. I'll admit it. Sorry, I just interrupted you.
That's all right. So I went on this kind of just getting as much knowledge as I could, and as part of this, I knew I had certain habits I wanted to get rid of, and a couple of my very close friends are like avid Christians, and they were taking part in Lent, and I obviously knew what Lent was, the 40 days and 40 nights Jesus did, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it with my mate to show him support, and I said I'm going to give up refined sugary drinks. So all I was going to drink was water, tea, coffee, milk, and straight alcohol. Although arguably, there's a bit of sugar in alcohol, I think, in the distillery process, but I wasn't going to be sober as well for a month. So I think I was 18 at this point, or maybe, 18. And I'm trying to remember my point here. Yeah. So I started quitting that, and I just found it unbelievably hard, but I did it. And I found that at the end of it, I felt I had so much more energy because I wasn't pumping sugar into my body. So my energy levels weren't spiking like this. And I kind of got a kick out of disciplining myself. It sounds almost sexual, but it's not. Yeah. It was like
if you read the book, you see that you try and tie every chapter ties into something sexual in some way.
Well, it's the easiest form of humor, isn't it? But so I just found that when I disciplined one area of my life, which was giving up sugary drinks, and at the time I was consuming quite a lot, I guess as much as any 18-year-old kid does. And because I disciplined that area, all the other areas of my life started to fall into place, because I started disciplining other areas. Because I was motivated from that one, I got motivated to sort out other areas of my life. So after that, I was hooked. So I was like, I don't want to wait another year to Lent, and I don't want to do 40 days because I think that was a bit too much. I don't know how Jesus didn't eat or drink for 40 days. It's quite special. But so I decided to do 30 days, and I think I gave up sugary drinks again. I did it because I was like, I want to kind of quit even more. And that worked again, didn't fail it. And then I started doing other challenges. And as you see in the book, I go on to quit masturbation for 30 days, which every guy has a problem with it, and probably 50% of women have a problem with it. And that again, that.
Where do you get your stats from?
Yeah,
you did market research for the book.
Exactly, man. Day 31 was glorious, and the ban was lifted. What else have I done? You read it recently. You could tell me.
You did that. You tried. Yeah, because you had some successes, which are just straight up successes, and then other ones which are failures. But the failures, as in you're learning more about yourself, the whole process, and the reason why you failed. Like you did, you tried to do Spanish. You tried to do. There was a couple of some good ones. And I was looking down, and I was like, shit, I need to actually. I will start a 30-day challenge, and then we'll get you on in the future again, and we'll talk about if we succeeded or not.
Yeah.
You will succeed. You're now the pro, but I will accountability. I will do a 30-day challenge. I'll do a few.
I would do that. But yeah, as you're saying, I gave up. So what I kind of do is when I get inspiration in an area, or I feel I'm too dependent on something, I use the 30-day challenge as a tool to kind of either learn something or give something up. And I find it quite compelling, because if I just try and give something out, I have no motivation. But I find the framework of 30 days, it's easy to follow. The structure's there, and I can kind of see it through, and I tell people about it, so I'm held accountable for it.
Yeah.
So one I did more recently was actually about 9 months ago now. I did a 30-day challenge to be a vegetarian. So this was because I did some research, and I found I'm big on health, and I found that potentially, in my opinion, meat is damaging long term for our health as human beings, and we're not hardwired to eat it, or digestive system isn't. So, and I know that when you eat meat, your digestive system takes too long to process it. The digestive system is the most energy sapping system in your body. So if you have meat and a lot of carbs, all your energy is going to go there. You have less energy to your brain, your limbs. You're not going to be as sporty. You're not going to be as intelligent or switched on. So I did it for 30 days, and that's one of the first ones I did it for 8 months. I didn't eat a piece of meat or fish, which was because I just felt so good. Like I couldn't prove the long-term health benefits, but I knew how I felt after each vegetarian meal. I had so much energy. I was just feeling naturally better about myself physically. I lost that extra bit of weight around my six pack, so I started to look better in the mirror. We're all vain and
six pack.
Yeah,
sure.
But more, yeah, but more recently, I
the webcam is from your shoulders up. So I mean, it's just like you can. There's Please don't.
But yeah. So and then more recently, I actually started to have a little bit of meat again because I was doing it for health reasons and not for the animals. But as I did it, it started to kind of dawn on me the immorality potentially of eating meat because you start to see animals no longer as things we breed to kill, but actually as living organisms that we're connected to. But anyway, it still wasn't enough about that for me not to eat it. So, I mean, in the last sort of 3 weeks, I've had meat sort of 4 times. But what I'm kind of doing is I'll eat meat probably maximum once a week. And I don't buy it when I go shopping. It's only if I'm out eating because restaurant vegetarian meals are terrible. Like they don't give enough choice. But that was kind of just to show that I feel we, as humans, when we find a belief in a lot of cases, we latch onto it. And, especially with religion, and we're like, I'm right, you're wrong, when we should always be in a position of questioning. And the reason I ate meat again after 8 months was because I wanted to make sure I wasn't still being a vegetarian because I was being stubborn. I didn't want to go back on my word. So I did it, and I was like, I didn't really feel like I was missing anything, but a little bit. So I'm kind of seeing it as a treat, but kind of like chocolate. But yeah, I think that's important for people to always stay in that position of, I love my belief, but I'm willing to give it up at any minute if I'm disproved wrong.
Constantly be questioning, constantly be challenging, constantly be open to new ideas, that curiosity, I guess, just being constantly curious, constantly asking, there's, in the book you mentioned like 5 big benefits, and maybe touch on those, but one that jumped out at me in particular was because you've got things like you said, like Lent or any of those things, and in the past I've never really been drawn to Lents and giving up stuff, and I don't know why, but I'm like, well, why do I have to give up stuff? Which I probably should, but one which really like hit me actually was the idea that when you do a 30-day challenge, say for example, one of the ones which I really liked actually, which I'd love to do, was that for every day for 30 days, you do a gesture of goodwill for someone. You you help somebody cross the road. You give some money to like a homeless person. You whatever. You do like you make somebody's day better in some way. But one of the things which I think you mentioned in the book was that when you are doing a 30-day challenge, often when we're getting up, you're doing a 9 to 5, you're going to work, you're coming back, you're sleeping, you're getting up, you're going to work, you're sleeping. You get in such a routine that the days, morph into weeks, the weeks morph into months, and you suddenly realize, what have you actually, you can't really remember like September through to like February. It's all a bit of a blur. When you were doing a challenge like these, you said that you notice, you experience the day, you experience life. You know exactly, okay, where were you? You remember every single day. You remember what you were up to. You remember like the highs, the lows. And it's that idea of actually not going through life with almost, sleepwalking through life, but actually really, really experiencing and living. And that was something that really sort of just made me actually think, sort of stopped me in my tracks a little bit. You've definitely found that, have you?
Yeah. So it always bugs me when people say, "Oh, life goes by so fast." And it's kind of like there's a great quote. I can't remember who it's by, but it says, "What was it? Life flies, but the good news is you're the pilot." Or something like that. And I love that because that's what I always say to people now when they're like, "Oh, life's just flying by," because it's always negative people that say it. And I just say that and it kind of shuts them up, but also reminds them that it's up to them to make the life they want to live. So yeah, I found what it is the reason why life flies. I don't know the scientific reason. I'm sure there's a psychological reason for it, but for me, it's because as we get older, routine becomes the norm. When you're a kid, you have some routine, but your imagination kind of creates the day, if that makes sense. Like, so as we get older, we go to work, we get up, feed the kids or whatever, go to work, work all day, come back, slam on EastEnders, and I don't, by the way, and then go to bed or whatever. And it's only really, say, the weekends when we catch up with our friends, or I don't know, go out on a day trip, that's the only different thing in our week. But by doing these challenges, you're conscious each day because you're having to control your willpower. Maybe it's to try and quit sugar drinks or smoking, or maybe you've got to learn Spanish, so that takes a bit of focus. And by focusing in on something new, it starts to make you remember the days, because the days stand out because you've finally broken the habit. And I believe that learning is such an important thing, and this is a great way of continually learning. Even if it's giving something up, you're learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's, so maybe if people, I'm just trying to find in the book the bit you just say about the 5 benefits. Okay, yeah, so I'll go into those a bit if you want.
Yeah, just touch on, because that was one which resonated with me in a big way, but like each of them will like resonate with different people, you know. So maybe just what will you say those 5 big benefits were of starting a 30-day challenge?
Yeah, well, the first two I've kind of touched on, which is, you know, you can use this tool to learn a new skill, and to give up a vice, so that thing that holds you back. So for me, it's been, you know, refined sugars, even in sweets. So refined foods, I've given up a bit, but it's those type of things, you know, whatever holds you back. That could be, you know, procrastinating on Facebook. So maybe you just don't open Facebook for a month, and that's a wonderful challenge, because that takes real willpower.
Yeah.
Or they say when you open it and you hope to see the little red notification.
Please.
All it says,
please.
Yeah.
Come on.
They say it's like little drops of cocaine.
I've got friends, 2 likes on my photo. Fuck yeah.
Exactly. But it does, like, as gay as it sounds, no one's better than it. We all feel that rush of, like, oh, I wonder who it is. What is it? It's like getting mail or email, and well, not email so much anymore. But it's, so maybe doing that. And in terms of learning something, so, you know, what have you always wanted to learn? So maybe it's the guitar. But for me, you know, guitar has been a continuous battle for me. I'll pick it up, I'll learn it for 2 weeks, and then I won't touch it again for 3 months. So doing that type of challenge, so I'm going to do the guitar challenge soon, actually, for me. I
just remember 2 other ones that you did the 5 a.m. morning wake ups. Yeah. And then also the challenge to write a book. That's pretty out there, because I think, it's rather than always necessarily focusing on, even though that's obviously one side of it, you know, is the giving up stuff, but like the flip side, which I get even more drawn to, is the positive stuff. Yeah, the taking something up, or just to do yourself. You know, I think you said BHOG, or a big, hairy, audacious goal, or something like that. Just something like so crazy, like, you know, it'd be so nice to write a book like one day. Screw it, like, you got 30 days, write a book.
Oh, exactly. What is it? Yeah, even if it's rubbish, like, you've completed something, and that alone would just inspire you. And the whole thing, like, you know, this book, I think, you know, in terms of how it's written, I think I put a lot of my passion and my soul into it, and my ideas. In terms of it being like a literary, you know, I can't even speak now, a classic piece of literature. Maybe it's not, but the fact is, it's far better than I could have done, say, 2 years ago. But I blogged so much over the last 2 years. I've done, I think, close to 200 articles in 2 years, and probably average about 400 or 500 words. So my writing, as you know, all people have read it, said to me, your writing's got so much better over the years, and it's because I put in the effort. So, you know, as you said, you do this challenge and you write a book and it's terrible. The fact is, if you start another book, you're going to be so much better than when you started that first one, because you've just written 20,000 words.
Absolutely. And when I was saying a book in 30 days, I wasn't saying as in his book, actually, I can vouch, is a bloody good book. The idea, the concept, hypothetically, of taking on a book in 30 days.
Yeah. My book's awesome.
No, genuinely, because when you're reading it, you're reading it. You know, there's some books I love because it's, you're there. It's almost like you're like, you know, sitting next to you, and you're spoken in your own voice, and you're taken on like a journey, and it's humorous, and you're learning the whole way. And no, I genuinely, I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, cheers, buddy. As you mentioned a minute ago, the 5 a.m.s were unbelievably hard for me. So some people listening might be like, "That's easy," you know. they might be a morning person, but to me, I've always been a bit of a night owl. And getting up at 5 a.m. is the hardest thing in the world to me. Like, and it's something I've been trying to do for about 2-3 years, because I knew it was a key to me being even more successful.
Yeah.
And arguably happier, because I think when I was awake before everyone, I started doing Tony Robbins' Power Hour and getting my mind in the zone, and I found it the best time to do my best writing was early in the morning. Anyway, so that was a tip. Actually, I'll go into that. Is I failed it the first time, and I told my friend about it because he was kind of holding me.
This is the 5 a.m. wake up.
5 a.m. Yeah, sorry. And I failed after about 10 days. Might have even been less. And he was disappointed at me, and that was it. And then I said, okay, right, I'll give you £100, and if I don't get up one morning at 5 a.m., you can keep the £100. And then do whatever you want with it. And that held me accountable, because there was a couple mornings when I was like, I do not want to get up, but I also don't want him to have the £100. So there's actually a charity, I can't remember, not charity, a website where it has the worst charities in the world, like the most awful registered charities. So there's one for like a neo-Nazi party. There's all different kinds of awful humans existing on that site, and the idea is you go on, so if you don't want to give it to a friend, you can say, right, I'm going to donate £100 to the Nazi party, and if I don't do it, I don't know how they make sure you don't do it, but if I don't do it, that money then gets given to that Nazi party. So it's mental. So it's a way of holding yourself accountable.
We'll link up that website in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll find it. I mean, yeah, I didn't use that because I didn't want to fail and give money to Hitler, but because he's dead. But so I guess so there's those two ones, and then I've mentioned increased discipline, which is a huge one for me now. And I know when my life's not going right, it's because I'm not disciplining myself. And I think discipline is such a negative word because it's what we do to naughty kids, or our parents discipline us. And the reason they do that, though, is because we can live a structured and more happy life. And I think we all need that certain amount of discipline in our core areas, so then we can be free and do what we want. So for me, discipline is a very freeing thing. But the fourth one was kind of it awakens you to your greatness. So this one for me kind of touches on personal development. So I knew a lot of people that are going to read this book might not be into personal development because they just naturally find it through Amazon's algorithm, their search results. So one of my missions in life is to get other people hooked on kind of philosophy and personal development, because I feel our kind of part of our existence is to explore the universe and try and find that truth, whatever it is, whether it's one truth for everyone or everyone has their own truths. And I feel life is so much richer. There's a point where you overanalyze, but life is so much richer when you're seeking that. And I think we are all great, and it's up to us to kind of find it. And the beauty's in the journey, not in actually ever realizing it. And then the last
I think that's an important point just to reiterate, because if you like, on the one hand, goals are awesome and they're fantastic because you've got something to aim towards. But then if you only focus on the end result and you kind of just don't really necessarily, you don't necessarily enjoy the whole experience. And actually, it should be. Is that kind of what you're trying to say? Like it should be actually the whole process itself should be something which is exciting.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, a good example of that is one of my friends he's really goal orientated, and it's worth saying I'm goal orientated as well. But he's like he's kind of got his goals to be very, very wealthy, and I have 100% confidence that he's going to achieve them. He's that type of person. He will sacrifice his social life to work on his own stuff, on his own ventures, and he's good at taking risk. But the thing that worries me about him, I'm not obviously going to name him, but he's so focused on the end goal. And yes, you're going to get satisfaction from striving towards the end goal because he's getting to learn business and stuff like that. But I feel he's sacrificing too much of his personal life and things like that. And ultimately, human connection is one of the greatest things we can have as a human being, whether it's helping someone or just connecting with a friend. And I feel he misses out on that. And I feel a lot of people who are unbelievably goal focused, that's what they miss out. And as you said, that's the journey. I feel it's the time. It wasn't Nelson Mandela. I think I quoted him in the book where he says, I'm climbing up the mountain, and when I get to the next kind of bit, the cliff precipice of the mountain, I just stop, take a second, and look at the view, see how far I've come. And I feel that's important. Each day we need to just enjoy it, and then but do all we can, but enjoy it, and instead of being so focused on the next thing, be focused in the present.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. It's good advice, and I need to. I'm guilty of that myself. So it'll be fine, and then suddenly I realise actually I've just lost maybe gone a bit too blinkered on just one thing, and then other things sacrificed, and so it's that constant just having to check in actually to, you suddenly realise you actually haven't seen anyone for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and
No, I agree with that, man. But that I guess this kind of relates to the goal thing. I saw a quote yesterday which blew my mind. It said, the light at the end of the tunnel isn't an illusion, the tunnel is. It's kind of like saying, the goal is that light.
Okay.
It's the tunnel, which is everything else in life. That's the illusion. I always say to that guy I was referencing a minute ago, I always say to him, everything you seek, you already have. Yeah. And that's a very Buddhist type thing to say, and it's something I'm still trying to get my head around. And most days I'm tell myself to shut up because I don't get it.
Yeah.
But it's all these Buddhists and everyone else have always said, everything we seek. People buy a Ferrari because they want that positive feeling that the Ferrari gives them. They can have that positive feeling now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying Ferraris are bad because beautiful pieces of.
So see you tomorrow driving around in one.
No doubt, one day.
No, but I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, no, it is because you're constantly looking. It does sound cheesy, but it's true and it's obvious. You're constantly seeking from stuff from outside of yourself, exterior stuff, but all of the things which you're trying to achieve, I'm trying to say it in a non-corny way, but I mean, all these things, you're trying to either achieve happiness or a sense of fulfillment or a sense of peace or calm, and you can achieve these just through, just having a good relationship with yourself, like meditation, faith, family, relationships, whatever. But you don't actually always have to be seeking something
more. Yeah, I feel because I guess some people might now be thinking, yeah, but I want an Aston Martin, I want blah blah blah, and there's 100% nothing wrong with that. I think the thing that I'm kind of coming to terms with is we all need to get to a point within ourselves first, or while we're trying the other things, where we're I understand and now know that everything I seek I can have now, and I choose to be blissfully happy in this moment, whether that's through meditation, whether that's through gratitude exercises, or just realizing how great we are and how much of a miracle we already are. And then once you have that, trying to get that Aston Martin or maybe building a charity to help someone, those things are play, if that makes sense. Yeah, and now you're playing from your greatness. You're not an empty person trying to seek greatness. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're starting at the end and then working back.
Exactly. No. Yeah. You're not having these toys, these gadgets to try and achieve that sense of worth, fulfillment. You've already got that.
Yeah.
These other things are bonuses, sure, just chuck those on, but they don't add to your...
Exactly, yeah.
You're a better philosopher than me. You can actually articulate it. I just do hand movements and go,
That's impressive,
and then you have to finish off by saying exactly. So, and then we brush over it.
No, it's good, man. I like doing... the thing about me, people always say that to me, but it's I don't like furthering. If someone's made the point perfectly, I don't kind of furthering it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm very, very I choose my words, but the same way I'm always doing hand gestures face to face, and people, I'm looking at them and I can see them just staring at my hands, and it just distracts me. It's irritating, but yeah.
Amazing. So what would be some of the okay, so you described some of the challenges you've done. You've described some of the benefits that you can get out of them. Okay, so I'm keen. I'm reared up. I've got a challenge in mind. I know what I'm hoping to get out of it. what kind of tips or advice could you give me to try and actually so I don't give up on day 5 or
Yeah, of course. So the biggest one is understanding your reason why you want to do it. So it's not always going to be a powerful why. So I don't know if anyone, I know you would have seen it, the video about, what's your why, Simon Sinek, Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker, always talks about you need a why. And they're right. They're both right. It's so powerful. It's not always going to be a grand thing like I need to give up sugar because if I don't, I'm going to die from diabetes or I'm not going to see my kids live. That's a perfectly acceptable why, but everyone's not going to have that. It might just be, I want to learn the guitar because I'm tired of coming home in the evenings and just sitting in front of the TV. I want a creative outlet to truly express how I feel and I want to learn something again. So that is also, you've made that into a powerful why. It's not life or death, but you've now made it meaningful to say it's going to make your life richer. And that is something you want to visualize that. What does that look like? How do you feel when you're fluently playing the guitar after day 30? And then every time you feel down on day 6, day 7, you visualize that. It's triggering those emotions again. And you're less likely to quit because it's easy when you get to day 5 to be like, why did I even start this? Which I've done a few times. So that type of thing's really powerful.
Because it's like, you are, rather than it's like, I want to learn Spanish. Why? Because, okay, then, suddenly, your friends invite you to go to the pub and it's like, oh wait, I've got to do my, 30 minutes of Spanish. It's suddenly just not that compelling. But if it's, if you've actually, like you said, you take the time up front, for like, half an hour or so, and you paint a picture and you can, you add, in your imagination, you sort of give it sort of senses, like what it sounds like, smells like, touch, like color, you can see that picture, and actually that's a much, that's a compelling thing, to actually see you through. Yeah,
no, that's spot on. You need that vision. What is it? If I can't remember the quote, but if your mind doesn't have it's kind of like driving, right? If you don't see where you're going, you're going to crash. So you need to, what was it? If you look at a lamppost, you're probably going to end up hitting that lamppost if you're not staring. So when we drive, we instinctively stare at the point we want to go to. And it's the same with life. If you don't have that vision of where you want to be, your brain's going to find it harder to get you there.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Tony Robbins does the whole exercise of, he actually, when he does his gratitude exercise, he's grateful for the things that he hasn't got yet or hasn't done yet, but he talks about them as if they have already been done. So he's like, I'm grateful that I did that, even though he hasn't done it.
Yeah.
Because what he's saying to his brain is it's a given, we're going to do it, and then the brain will find ways to get us there.
Amazing. And you mentioned on, because we were hanging out on Wednesday, and you mentioned reticular activation system. And that ties in exactly what you said. Like for anyone who doesn't know what the RAS is, do you want to quickly explain it?
Yeah, right, mate. So RAS, reticular activating system. There's many words for it. So it is basically, if you've ever bought a green car, you suddenly see that green car everywhere. Or you buy a Mini Cooper, that Mini Cooper's everywhere. A Mini Cooper's not everywhere. It's just it's always been there, but your brain has never spotted it. And the reason being, we process so many images and sounds a day that if our brain took it all in, they would literally like pack in and explode. So then it actually would explode like that, but it would stop working. So what the reticular activating system does is it's your brain's way of telling you you telling your brain what's important. Yeah. So your brain only shows you the things that are truly important to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's beautiful. Because it's crazy. Like there's so many like senses. Then we can't physically process it all. And then when you're like the car example, or say a couple are trying for a baby, and then suddenly like everywhere they see is just baby clothes, baby people walking prams, and it's like you're being like, what is this? It's like, where are these people coming from? But like your brain, it deletes, distorts, and generalizes or something, and so so only it feeds you. Like say you've got a clear goal. That's why goal setting is so important, isn't it? Because if you actually write it down and articulate, this is my goal, then just walking down the street, your brain will be out doing all the research for you and then saying, oh, look over there, look over here, and then feeding your brain actually anything which is relevant to help you achieve that goal. So is that why it's so important to actually physically, rather than just think of a goal, to put pen to paper and actually make it something more real and articulate?
Yeah, spot on. So writing it down makes it so much more meaningful. I can't remember the study, but yeah, when you write it down, you're like something like 70% more likely to do it or see it through. And kind of what you were saying there, your brain can only focus on so much. And what you said earlier about, it's important to have good people around you, and it's important to read good things, because it's like day to day, if you're watching the Kardashians and you're reading the Metro on the way, which is like a London travel magazine or newspaper, which is usually just negative. You're just reading generally newspapers. You're watching the news. You're talking and hanging around with negative people, talking about the economy collapsing and all this crap. Your brain is going to focus on those,
like famine, rape, killing, war. It's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
Love to turn on the news and be like, life is really good, guys. Life is all good. Like all the plants grew today and everyone's really happy, and keep it up. Good job.
Something you should be. But so if you're getting all those inputs into you, your reticular activating system is going to say that's important. And then you're suddenly going to start seeing the world as a bad place. You're going to see bad people. Whereas if you read, there's a newspaper called Positive News, if you read that, if you chat with like-minded people who are really open-minded, who read a lot, you read a lot, your brain is suddenly saying, crap, this knowledge is important to me. Eating healthy is important to me because I've just been told that. And your brain is going to point you into the direction, without even thinking, you're going to hit a better life. So the greatest thing someone can do is put better input in, and then your brain would do the rest for you, even if you don't do anything else.
Yeah. I love it. What's been, I mean, you mentioned Fiona earlier, but what would you say have been sort of the biggest influences or mentors or sort of turning points? Like, have you had a couple which really stand out? Obviously, that you read a huge amount, you go to seminars, you surround yourself by positive people. All these things have a massive influence, clearly. But have there been? And it's okay if they're not. But do you have any like standout influences or mentors or?
Yeah. So I think in terms of just generally currently now, so we're both in the same mastermind group, which is about 6-7 of us get together. From a business point of view, that's really helpful, like really inspiring to have you guys and sharing tips. Which I recommend everyone try and seek those type of people. Obviously, Fiona Harrold was a big kickstart for me. There's loads of authors that have had a huge impact as well, like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which is, I don't know if you read it. It's about, he was a Jewish psychotherapist.
Was he in a concentration camp, and he actually and he survived, and he did, and he actually say a little bit about him, because just remind me.
Yes, he's a psychotherapist, and he got caught by the Nazis, thrown in a concentration camp. I can't remember how long he was in there for, but the thing that most of the book is kind of talking about him observing, and he was saying that the moment people gave up hope that they weren't going to get out, within 2 weeks they died. And he noticed this happened without failure. And he noticed the ones that kept hope, they either got gassed or they did eventually escape, but they never died of their own accord. Or whether that's giving up or... Because I think the body's clever. I think when you lose hope, your body will just shut down. And it's a sad book, and it kind of... You're sickened by that a human could do that to another human being, but it's very liberating as well, because he says, whatever you're suffering in life, as soon as you find meaning, it stops being suffering. And that is a message that always sits well with me. Like whenever I feel like I'm going through something, I just think of that, I just got to find a meaning in this. And then that kind of switched on its head, and now it has a purpose. It's no longer suffering's sake, right? So that was a powerful book for me. Trying to think of other books. Okay, so Eric Thomas.
The hip-hop preacher.
Yeah. When you want to see it as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successable. So that kind of links
I've
back
got
to
him.
my
I've got him on
advice.
my iPod. Like you wake up and it was quite funny. When you plug on in a car, if you plug in your iPod, suddenly it was
Yeah.
pop up automatically on like the last song or something like that. I was in my girlfriend's car and suddenly plugged my iPod in, and then suddenly like there was like being screamed out like, you could do it, come on, and it was like this
Yeah.
super pumped, aggressive, and she looked at me like what are you doing, what are
Super
you listening
American.
to?
Yeah.
It's my morning like
Okay.
wake up, I go to work and get dressed, I'm walking down the street and then I'm being yelled at, but like, yes, I can do it, I can do anything.
Oh, it's unbelievable,
He's
man.
awesome,
So,
he's
yeah, so that
awesome.
was when I mean, I guess anyone who hasn't listened to this hasn't seen that. Just type in "secrets to success" on YouTube, and you'll see the video that made him kind of go viral, sort of 6 years, 7 years ago now. So this was when I started my MA. I obviously, I had doubters or haters, and I was doubting myself still. I still had that awful
Haters,
wiring.
are you a rapper?
Yeah. They were sipping on haterade. But so yeah, so I was, I had that awful conditioning. So I went to YouTube and just typed in, kind of like I did with play.com, but I just typed in secrets to success. Again, don't know why. And then pulled that video up. And at the time, it had like 3,000 hits or something. It's tiny to what it has now. And it was so powerful, his story. And it kind of, I know it was like, here's a guy who was homeless, who was a school dropout, who was failing school, and now he's getting his PhD. And it was like, wow, he's worse off than I am, but he did it. So what's my excuse? All I've got to do is kill myself working hard, and I could do it. Yeah. Not obviously literally kill myself. It's the surest way to failure. But so anyway, I did it, and that was so powerful to me that I eventually got it tattooed on my arm. Right. I'll show you. Have you never seen this?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I thought
mate.
I saw one on your collarbone.
So, can you see it? And that's his signature there and the date. So I got that 3 years ago, I think. And then I met him at his London event. And I showed him it, and he was like gobsmacked. And he signed it for me. And the next day I went and got it tattooed. And I'm not a groupie, like I don't necessarily listen to stuff that much anymore, but because of the impact he had when I was of a young age, like he really helped me achieve that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a profound moment for me.
I was going to say, I mean, it sounds like there's been they're big sort of turning points. First the Fiona Harold, and then the Eric Thomas. When you're at a low, you then, I don't know, whether it's your gut high or whatever, like you suddenly feel the need to suddenly go online, Google something, and then you suddenly got hit with an answer, like both times. It's quite strange.
The internet has been my biggest savior, I think. but it's a good thing. If I hadn't seeked good knowledge or better knowledge than my environment was giving me, I would never have changed or in the way I wanted. And that's kind of the biggest thing for people is, if you're not happy with where you are, you need to change something. And probably the best way is either changing some of your friends, your family if you can, or it might just be changing the input you're putting in from TV, the news, and books you read. And you do that and you get shown new ways of thinking. And often a lot of it is, seeing that people have had it worse than you and they still made it.
Yeah.
And there's always...
It puts into perspective, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So he's always going to be kind of a big mentor. But he's very much targets the younger audience. So I still listen to his stuff, but it doesn't necessarily have the same impact. Yeah. And then who else? There's actually a guy called Peter Hassett, who is a very successful property entrepreneur.
I'm looking at that. Peter
who,
Hassett.
Yeah, I can introduce you if you want. So I got introduced to him through Lawrence, actually, and this was a few years ago. I first had a Skype chat with him, and the first time he talked to me, he spent like 5 hours on Skype, just like downloading information to me, and then we had another Skype chat a week later, and again he was like 5 hours, and this guy has so much energy. He's from Portsmouth. He's really like, every other word is fuck, but he it was so touching to have someone invest so much time into me when I wasn't paying him. He wasn't getting anything out of me necessarily. And we got to a point where me and Lawrence, this was about 2 a.m. and we both had work the next day. We had to get up early and we were both really tired, and it was only audio. We couldn't see each other, and he could tell we were slacking. He just went, "Are you two lagging on me?" He's like full of energy. And then we just like, "We got to go, mate." And he's laughing, like full of beans still. But he really helped me with like financial education.
And so I think the big takeaway from this, from listening to you, but you might have your other one, is just that, well, as in help is obviously out there. You just got to just be actually open and willing to actually seek it out, you know, whether it's in the form of books, internet, mentors, people, like, you know, there is help there.
Fully agree with that, man. You got to help yourself. And it was in the Bible, it says, knock and the door will be open to you. You know, it's not going to say that the door's not going to open for you. You've got to knock first.
Yeah.
And it's that whole, you've got to show these mentors, if you're approaching them, and you've got to show that you're really eager, you're hungry for whatever it is, or you know, you're going to do what they say, as long as it makes sense. It's not like jump off a bridge. But I don't know if I 100% believe this. This is just kind of like a nice little belief system I have, which is, you know, when you make effort, the universe rewards you. So was, as you're saying, you know, at times you felt people came to you at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't believe that was a coincidence. And have you ever read The Alchemist?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite books of all time. And I actually outsold that in the month of September on Kindle.
I remember didn't you screenshot like screenshotted like your name above like Paulo Coelho?
Should have Instagrammed him as well.
I'm sure he would have loved that.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I'm still a multi-millionaire." What was I say? Yeah, so in the book Alchemist, it says, what's the quote? Something like, "The universe conspires to help those who are chasing their dream," or something like that. And I fully believe that's how I live my life the last 7, 8, 10 years. Is I believe if I put in the effort towards something and it's of a right cause, a just cause, the help will come. Yeah. And I feel that's almost like having God on your side. I'm not necessarily religious of any kind, but I am spiritual, so to speak. So I do believe that if I want something and it's good, people will come. The universe is going to put I've got to put in the effort, but I will get the help.
Nice.
I think that's, yeah.
Awesome. And we're coming towards the end now, but I might just chuck a couple of just, I don't know, a quick speed fire or just, round, but just a couple of questions before we wrap up. But what do you think the keys to, I don't know if this is a stupid question because, I mean, it's like, how long's a piece of string? Are there lots of things? But just interested to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you think the keys to just living a fulfilled life are? Like, what do you think the main keys from your perspective?
Yeah, so, I mean, this has rapidly changed for me over the last 10 years. I think when you first get into personal development, it's all about making money. It's all about achieving goals. And for me, it's now seeming that it's all about connection. It's all about building a strong family. It's about having loads of friends that just support you and you just love being around and you can have a laugh with. I think it's different for everyone. For me, it's about trying to be funny. May not have come across on this podcast, but day to day, I like to be serious, but when I'm not being serious, I want to be a clown because just to make other people laugh fills me with so much joy. Yeah. So to me, that is spiritual and that's living in the now. What else? And then also kind of the same, realizing your greatness, that you're already whole. There's nothing else you can find out there that you don't already have. And I feel as we meditate on that and think about it more, like when I do think about it, I feel at peace. And when I forget it, I'm kind of, not in peace. And kind of, I tweeted a minute ago actually that kind of this idea of heaven and how I don't necessarily, in terms of afterlife, I don't necessarily believe in, but I do believe in it on earth. And I feel heaven is a natural state of existence for human beings. But every day we wake up and our mind gets in the way. We're not our minds, our thoughts, they're not who we are. And when we live in our thoughts, as most of us do, it drags us into hell on a daily basis. But I think we're already in heaven. We just don't realize it.
I've never heard it described like that before, so I like it. It's really interesting.
Hit me on the walk home.
Wow, mate, you're blowing my mind. What the hell? Meditate on that one. No, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I have no idea, like, what, I'm still unsure about my sort of thoughts about, that whole afterlife kind of stuff. But, yeah, as in, every day could be, you can choose it to be a heaven or, or a hell, whether, and no, I love that. After think before I don't want to just come back with something, so I've got to process that one. So think of that one, but no, I like it.
Yeah, no, a quick point there, actually, just to elaborate. I feel because was the question happy or successful? Was the goal?
What, in terms of the question?
Yeah,
I said living a fulfilled life.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess it kind of comes down to that is being at peace. I think happiness stems from peace. If you chase happiness, it's very fleeting, and that's going to lead to a lot of unnecessary pain.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just not seek because peace is already in you, but you realize peace and you live in it, then good times and bad times will come. But so the whole time you're in peace, you'll be fulfilled. That makes sense. I think fulfillment comes from peace, not from happiness or negativity, because even bad times are still times in your life, right?
Yeah.
And it's surely, I'd rather have the bad times than be in the grave. So that's, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's not always yeah.
I love it. No, and that's yeah, I'll leave it there. That's beautiful. And one, I think we've got one last question, but like this is I if you ask me this, I would probably struggle to answer it right now. So do you have an idea of, because I heard this question the other day, and
yeah.
I mean, do you have an idea what you want to be remembered for?
Oh, mate.
I know. I thought as we're getting to the end, I'll just throw a curveball and actually go super deep on you. I don't think I've got ideas, but it's definitely not clear. I don't think.
Yeah, it's a tough one, dude. It's something I have thought about, and I don't feel I've necessarily nailed it. But the thing that
it's like the whole thing, like if you were at the funeral and you had to write your own eulogy or something, do you know what I mean? Or what would you want? Or what's on your gravestone? All those kind of things. And what do you? It's kind of like future pacing. Is that what it's called? When you're, I don't know, but
yeah,
when you're.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. I guess there's two things I'd want on my gravestone. One of either. One's going to contradict what I just said about happiness and peace, but I would like one of them to say is I was happier because he was here. So one part of my mission is, just I want people to be happy. Like I feel not happiness in the sense of huge elation, but happy just to be alive and just to experience the power of sight and breath and everything each day, just being here and just realizing that joy is all around us, and got a bit woo-woo there. But the other thing to write on it is he cared.
I like it.
It's, caring about everyone, I guess. So like part of my thing is I want to, I say playfully seeking truth is kind of my tagline, because I'm quite playful as a person, but I want to seek truth, and I want to push away all the lies that are in society and show people the truth. Whatever that is, I'm still figuring it out, but I'm kind of getting closer to it. And I do that because A, for myself, but B, because I think I am connected with everyone. So I want them to feel that too.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's quite, the whole idea of connection reminds me of like a lecture or like a video I watched of Alan Watts.
Yeah.
And he talks about connection, and you have to listen to it 2 or 3 times because it's a real like mind thing, this. But
blows my mind, that guy.
It really is. But that's great. Those were 2 pretty good 2 things to be remembered for. I like that. Like similar in terms of the fact that every single time we come into contact with somebody, you can make their day. Like even just somebody working behind a checkout, somebody you bump into someone in the street, you've got a chance to one or the other to make their day that tiny bit worse or that tiny bit better. And so I think if you can constantly be everyone always just trying to make their day a little bit better, then it's the idea of actually, I don't know, caring and making people's, I don't know, I like that whole sort of philosophy mindset. I think that's a cool note to. I think that's a good note to maybe wrap it up. First of all, thank you so much for coming on. It's been amazing talking to you. I've loved it. You know, it's been really absolutely fascinating. And where can people find out more about you?
Cool. Yes, they can go to. Look, it's on my screen there. They can go to stuartralph.com. Or just Google me, or you can go to for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's at Stuart A. Ralph, all one word. And then the book is on Amazon, and it's if you just type in "Challenge Yourself," I dare you, it should come up.
I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Brilliant.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no, cheers, guys. Thanks, dude, for that, and I hope everyone's learned something.
Catch you next time.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Take care.